table, and then I find the unit rate for for each kid who and the amount of chocolate bars they each will have, and we'll see who has more chocolate bars.
Anyone else would like to share their plan? Aspect?
Huh?
What's going to be your plan to solve this?
My plan was to solve was I was gonna draw a diagram, and then I was gonna for each children from the red table I was gonna like give them half of the bar. I was like technically gonna use a diagram.
Anyone else going to do something different besides a diagram? Joseph?
Well, what my plan to solve is that I'm gonna like first I'm gonna do the algorithm, but like, and then I'm gonna like use a word equation to find out like did I do the right steps.
Last part, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
So then I'm gonna make a word equation to see if my steps were right.
Okay. And Eric, I saw you had a hand up. What's going to be your last thing to do? What's going to be your plan to solve?
My plan to solve is to use unit rates to figure out which one gets more chocolate.
Okay, so you're thinking about using unit rates. Anyone else thinking about using unit rates? Anyone else thought about unit rates when you solve this problem? I see Anais agreeing. I see Katie. I see Kiara. Great. Katie, why did it make you think of unit rates?
It made me think of unit rates since we have to figure out, first we have to figure out like, since we have to figure out who gets more chocolate, we have to turn the children, we have to like, I don't know how to describe it. Like we have to turn the children into one so that we can like then figure out who gets more chocolate.
We have to turn the children into one. So we'll just kind of follow up with what Katie was saying. I see you're on the right path. I just want to see if we can use the academic language that we were taught to answer that. Anaya, go ahead.
I think what Katie means is that since we have 3 children, we have to try and like we have 3 children for 2 bars. I think what she means is that we're gonna have to figure the children and find the amount of chocolate that one kid would get.
Great. Anyone else thinking the same thing? Yeah. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Brianna. Thank you, Silas, Lamuel. Thank you, Adelaide. Thank you, Lysandra. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Esther. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Alejandro, Elijah, Sinovia, Anthony. I see your hand. Thank you, Josue. Great. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put 8 minutes on the timer. So I'm going to put us into 2 separate breakout rooms. I'll have one breakout room with myself, another breakout room with Miss Marnie. So I'm going to go ahead and separate us into 2 breakout rooms. And I just want to give you the next 8 minutes to independently just work on solving the problem. Sounds good? Thumbs up if you're good. Tell me you're with me, Naya. All right, great. So I'm going to set up your breakout rooms now. If you do not have the problem, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to send a picture of it into your breakout room chat so that you have it in there as well. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen right now. I'm going to put us into 2 breakout rooms. Go ahead and join your breakout rooms. Logan, join your breakout room. Jessica, join your breakout room, please. Jessica. Jessica, can you hear me? Scylla, call on Anaya and Kiara. Scylla, where do your kids go? Oh, never mind. Oh, I'm muted. I think they were waiting for the for it to was muted. All right, so we're gonna have just Kiara and Anaya. Anaya share theirs, and then we're gonna talk through their we're gonna talk through the strategies they use. So Kiara, go ahead and start sharing. I'm gonna go ahead and write it down. Please be mindful that I'm copying down whatever you're saying. So just take your time when you're all this. Sorry, just gonna turn that on. Let's stop the share and let's try that again. Great. Kiara, go ahead and mute yourself. Can you hear me? Kiara? You can unmute yourself.
Okay. So I started out with writing an equation, which is 2 divided by 3 equals question mark.
You said you wrote out 2 divided by 3 equals question mark?
Yeah. And then another equation, 3 divided by 4 equals question mark.
Okay. Why did you divide?
I divided because I knew I had to split the amount of chocolate to see how many chocolate bars can equally go into 3 so that I can see which one is greater.
Okay. So you knew you were dividing the chocolate bars by the children and not the children by the chocolate bars, right?
Yeah.
Children.
You can't see children.
Right. Okay, keep going.
And so I did 2 over 3 into
Okay.
fraction.
Okay.
And then right below it, I did 3 over 4.
And then you did 3 over 4. Okay.
And I drew an arrow in 2 over 3, I did an arrow. And then I knew that you can turn it into a decimal. You can turn it into fractions, which is 2 over 1
So you turn it into 2 over 1.
times 1 over 3. And that gets me 2 over 3.
As that. Great.
Yeah. And then I did 3 over 1 times 1 over 4. And then I figured out that it doesn't have a common denominator. So I did 2 over 3 times 4 over 4.
You did 2 over 3 times 4 over 4.
Yeah. And that gets me 8 over 12.
Okay, so you got 8 over 12.
And 3 over 4 times 3 over 3.
Okay.
And that is 9 over 12.
Okay. I give you 9 over 12. So what did you realize?
I realized that 9 over 12 is greater than 8 over 12. So I circled that and I got the blue table.
Okay. The blue table. Great. Questions about the way Kiara solved this? Why did you choose common denominators?
I chose common denominators because in order to figure out which one was greater or smaller, I had to make it similar. I had to make the denominator similar to see the difference.
Okay, so you knew when you were comparing fractions if they had different denominators, you obviously couldn't compare them. So you had to turn them into the same denominator. Great. Anaya, talk us through what you did.
I can't talk. Okay.
I did it. It's done.
So what I did first was I wrote the ratio of 3 to 2. And then I wrote on top of that red because that was the ratio for the red table. And then on the side, I wrote 4 to 3 as a ratio. And then over the 4 to 3 ratio, I labeled it blue. Then since I had to find how much chocolate one kid would get, I wrote like a little group for the 3, and then I wrote divided by 3.
Sorry, repeat that last part.
I wrote like a arrow, and I put divided by 3 for the 3 to 2.
So you divided this by 3.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you divide it by 3?
Because I divided it by 3 because I knew I needed to find for 1 children, and then if I divide by 3, then they would give me 1.
Okay, so this will cancel out and give you 1. And then what would the other part give you?
It would give me 0.67 because I divided 2 divided by 3.
Okay, so 0.67. So 1 to 0.67 is what you got.
And then I circled that so that I knew that that was my new ratio. And then for the 4 to 3 ratio, I drew an arrow and I divided 4 by 3.
And then what did you get?
I got 1. And then for the 3 divided by 4, I got 0.75. And then I circled that as a new ratio again. Then I wrote 0.75 and 0.67. And then I was going to use like the greater than or less than or equal to sign. And then I used the greater than sign because I knew that 0.75 was greater than 0.67. So my answer is the blue table.
Is, no, sorry, wrong symbol. Greater than 0.67. So you said the blue table. All right, so let's talk about the ways that they use. So they both got the blue table that we should have got. What do we notice about the way they chose to solve this problem? Katie.
What they both did was they found out ways to make their answers like much simpler. And Kiara, she just found out the common denominator so that they can both find the difference of the fractions to get their answer.
Thank you. Anything else? What do you notice? I'm gonna start calling on people. Naya.
I noticed that Anaya's, that when we were doing that, Anaya, she used like more, that she used more, like I know that Kiara, she had to like, did Kiara like had to she used fraction form, she used fractions to find the answer to her problem, but Anaya used algorithm. I mean visuals.
Anaya did not use visuals. What did Anaya use?
Algorithm.
Oh, sorry. Let me share the screen.
Anaya used, yeah. I can't see it. Anaya used algorithm.
Okay. But what is different about their algorithms? Adelaide, I saw your hand up.
What's different is that in Anaya's, she did hers with decimals, but Kiara used fractions, so she used a common denominator. But Anaya, she used like out of 100. So yeah.
What did they
What?
realize? What
What?
did both these ladies realize? This question's to anyone. How did Kiara use finding common denominator, and how did Anaya use finding decimals? How did they use two different ways to do it and get to the same answer? What is the connection here that you can think about? Abriana?
I noticed that since Kiara used fractions, that Anaya used ratios, and she used ratios and percentages to find her answer.
So what do you think? What do you think the connection is? What do you think the connection between the two strategies that they used are? Joseph.
I think the connection between both of their strategies is that they found the unit ratio. For example, Anaya did like 1 to, I think it was like
Volume,
7.
Joseph.
They both found the unit ratio, and like for Anaya, she put